Guys, my entitled aunt just got nuked in court. Here's why she shouldn't mess with me, and why she's so entitled. Let's get right into it. Backstory. My dad has an older sister we'll call EA, entitled aunt. And always, even as a child, my grandparents treated her like an angel and treated my dad like a piece of crap. For example, when my dad was in college, he wore clothes that had holes that were about 3 inches wide. And the tradition in China is that you got a lot of new clothes in the new year. His mom told him that they were going to get him a brand new coat for winter, and my dad was really excited. A few days before New Year's, though, his parents said that they cannot get him a coat. The coat they were going to get him cost 1,000 yuan, which is about 143 US dollars. But can you guess where the money went? EA's freaking boyfriend. How can your son like that? Here's something worse. The coat they gave the boyfriend was 2,000 yuan. You could have just split the dang money so they both have new coats. The second my dad was out of college, he started working his butt off. He was able to give his parents money every year when they treated him like crap. Later, finding out that every year all that money goes straight to EA, but that's a different story. You get the gist. My dad treats his parents really well, and all the effort equals nothing or it goes straight to EA. Here's the story. For some reason, they hated my dad, mom, me, and siblings. This happened a few years ago when my mom was giving birth to my brother. I did not realize how bad this story was until a few years ago because I simply did not understand. So, I was born in Beijing. My mom was somehow able to foresee the prices in houses were going to go up in there, so she and my dad worked hard to buy as many houses as they could. However, there's a limit to how many houses you can buy in Beijing, but my mom was able to find a loophole. She bought the house with her own money, but put the house under someone else's name. She bought a house and put the house under my dad's mom's name. My mom paid for all the renovation, very important later. Fast forward about 4 years, my mom was pregnant with my brother. There's a law in China that says having more than one baby, they can't do it. So they came to the US to legally have a baby. This is when EA saw her chance. She took advantage of my parents' absence to manipulate my grandparents, telling them to put the house my mom bought 4 years ago under EA's husband. Obviously, my grandparents caved in really easily and transferred it. Luckily, my mom's brother, I don't know how, was able to find out that they were transferring it. Now, we still live in the US, so we weren't able to deal with this immediately. My parents called their lawyers to have a court summon for EA. She took her time and waited for the last warning to finally come into court. She brought my grandparents along as well. According to my uncle, she was smirking the entire time, waiting for the trial to begin, thinking that our side of the court can't really prove it, while low-key insulting our side of the family. I don't know how to translate this, but she said things like, quote, "My brother was bad, probably passed it down to his children too," or "My brother was such a coward, he didn't even want to come because he knew I'd win." Well, guys, then came the sweet, sweet revenge. The court first asked EA to talk. She said that the house was bought by grandmother and then given to her husband, obviously with no proof. Then my uncle with the lawyers took out a record, clearly stating that my mother purchased this house with her own money. I wish I could have seen EA's face, but my uncle described it as a dark green, and maybe a little purple too. The judge then asked EA if this was true. The judge stated that if she was to lie, she would end up with much worse than just giving the house back. Surprisingly, she still stood her ground and claimed that the house was indeed her husband's, who got the house from grandmother and paid for renovations. That's where she messed up. My uncle and the lawyers triumphantly took out another paper, saying that my mother paid for all the renovations, clearly not my aunt's husband. That's when she broke down like a little weasel. She started crying, screaming, in undecipherable language. She was soon taken to jail for 1 to 2 years. I forgot when she got out, but holy crap, she deserved it. Wow guys, Mr. Reddito here. So that story took a wild turn in OP's favor at the end. I don't know what the aunt was thinking, or even why the grandparents would agree to do that, but it turns out Jell is what aunt got, and I'd have to say I think she deserves it. The next story on the day, guys, is very interesting. I'm going to read you the title because, yeah, it's that crazy. My family always ridiculed me for being trailer park trash. But now that my mom is 70 is behind on her mortgage, everyone's looking at me to pony up bailout money. I don't know what's going to happen with this one, but we're about to find out. Here comes story 2, right at you. I was mom and dad's little oops that caused them to get married. My dad was really old school. He worked hard in a blue-collar job in the auto industry, but eventually worked his way up to middle management. He died 20 years ago, quite young from emphysema, because he chain smoked. He was only 49. He left my mother a workable insurance policy and she gets along okay. Of course, being his wife, my mom inherited everything. My parents had 2 other kids, both girls, 38 and 34. My dad was a lot harder with me than them. I had to work as a teenager, whereas my sister got an allowance. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 19 and in my second year of science major. I got student loans and had my own studio apartment near campus. My dad was proud that I was, quote, being a man and making my own way in this world. I worked while in college at an IHOP and sent several $100s at home to my mom every month to help her and my sister. Soon after graduating college at 22, I got a job as a high school chemistry and physics teacher, and that's been my job ever since. I married at 30 to a teacher, now 43, from another school, and we have a 3-year-old daughter. My wife has been on hiatus from teaching, but she intends to go back when our daughter starts kindergarten in a couple of years. My family live in a mobile home, not a trailer. It's like a house because, in truth, it is a house. Just one that isn't nailed into the ground with a concrete foundation and all that. Think one of those Sears build-your-own homes from the 1930s. We live in a mobile home community filled with similar portable houses. My mom won a substantial state lottery not long after my dad died, worth nearly $1 million. With that money, she put my sisters through school. I did not get any of it, but I did not ask for any either. I've never been especially close to my sisters, and for that matter, I've never been especially close to my mom, which is why I kind of felt unwelcome at home and moved out when I was 19. It did not stop me from sending money home dutifully, but I just did not have an emotional connection with the women in my family in the same way I had with my father. Anyways, they always would poke fun at home and call me a redneck or trailer trash. They knew it made me uncomfortable, but they'd still do it. They've been doing it ever since I moved into the mobile home at 25. Like, whenever a picture of my house would be on something I posted to Facebook or something, they'll say something passively aggressive about my home or insinuate that I'm not being a good provider for my wife. My wife has never once complained about our home, which I bought long before I even met her. And she's told me numerous times that she loves it and that it's all we need. Since we live in a mobile home that I paid off nearly 10 years ago, my wife and I have saved several thousands of dollars. So, while we don't have a fancy home, my wife and I and our child have money to splurge on little goodies and vacations. With her lottery winnings, my mother gifted my sisters lots of money to put down payments on their houses after they got married several years ago. Each of my sisters have children. The elder of my sister has 2 boys, 7 and 4, and the younger has 3, 5 male, 3 male, and 1 female. Their husband both work white-collar professions. Anyways, it seems that my mom has been mismanaging her money recently, and has asked each of us for loans to cover her mortgage because she's fallen behind. Both of my sisters and their husbands begged off saying they have no cash. Everyone is looking at me now because they know I have money. It's true, I have money, but it's for my wife and child. My mom is saying I should loan her just a few $1,000s, just until this sorts out this little mess she's in. I personally think there's no need for a 70-year-old woman to have a 5-bedroom house, and if she's still paying it off, then she ought to downsize to an apartment. My mom says it's cruel for me to suggest that and disrespectful to my dad's memory. What? I also told her that she ought to move in with one of her daughters, each of whom has a huge house with extra bedrooms. My own house only has 2 bedrooms. My sisters tell me that I'm the oldest and a man, and it's my responsibility to look after our mother. Funny, I thought they did not believe I was a man so much as a redneck trailer park loser, but whatever. And also, since my wife and I sometimes post pictures of our vacations or other purchases, for example, I bought a new economy car on social media, and they think we're rolling in money. And also, that since I only have one child, I should shoulder more of the responsibility to take care of our mom. I think my mom and sisters are being unreasonable, and that they should figure a way from this mess that doesn't involve me handing over my trailer trash money. What do you guys think about it? Hey guys, Mr. Reddito here. So this is a disaster of a situation. I think everyone in the family of OP is super entitled. I want to read one comment that caught my eye. It says, "It seems like people who owe your mom the most are your sisters. They got loads of money off her, you got none, and therefore you owe none. Your mother needs to sell her house and she cannot afford it anymore and move to a smaller place. Better yet, since she paid the part of their houses, your sister should abso-ducking-lutely take her in." Okay guys, let me know your thoughts about this story in the comment section below, and do share your opinion. The next story that we're going to jump into involves a relationship drama. It involves the wife and husband, and it does come complete with an update. So sit back with your favorite ice-cold beverage, kick your feet up and relax. The third story of the day is upon us. My husband makes approximately $140,000 a year in sales, works from home, and does approximately 15 to 20 hours of work in a busy week. I make $40,000 a year, commute 3 hours per day, and work 40 hours a week. I do some part-time work as well that supplements my income, maybe $3,000 a year. Anyways, we have a joint account to pay bills and mortgage and personal checking accounts. I contribute just a hair shy of half of the monthly expenses. I spend approximately $600 per month getting to and from work, so I am usually a little in the red each month. Last night we went to a warehouse sale. I had sold some belongings online and was using my funds to treat myself. My husband was in the area looking at a new motorcycle to purchase. He bought one earlier in the year for 20 grand, and now wants a track bike for another 5. I'm always encouraging of his hobbies, so I'm excited as he tells me about his new bike. When I start asking him about other costs, he turns the conversation to our joint account and says, "I notice you've been neglecting it. It's in the negative." I calmly explain that I need to make partial payments over the course of the month, and unfortunately my pay schedule falls just behind the mortgage schedule. I rely on him to make up the difference. He's like, "Oh, well, it never used to happen." I then explained that I had put a large sum in a few months earlier from my inheritance, and explained that it had just ran out now. My husband used to pay off his personal taxes. I'm just really frustrated because I work so hard, and he always wants me to make more money. I love my job and my career, and I'm happy. I feel like it's just never enough. Whenever I talk about work, he always asks when I'm getting a raise. When I shop for jobs, the first thing he wants to know when I get an offer is how much I'll get paid. When I have a bit of extra money, I'm afraid to tell him because he thinks of my money as ours and his money as his. He gets to dictate vacations and going out because he pays for it. I simply can't afford it. It's really difficult for me. He makes jokes like how he's my sugar daddy, but I pay my fair share and my own personal needs. It really hurts my feelings. I've explained this to him, but it doesn't seem to work. He buys motorcycles and then tells me not to have 2 showers a day because of the water bill. Or I should sell my car that I paid for because it's worse on gas than his, and we'll use the money to buy him a new one and I'll get his old one. Am I crazy, spoiled woman, or is he making me crazy? Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here. I do have an update for this. There's one short comment I want to read and get your opinion on it. It says, I think he's being crazy, but I also think you're nuts for commuting that far for so little money. Alright guys, so OP said she loved her career and her job. Do you guys think that maybe OP's in the wrong and commuting that far for very little money is a bad idea? Drop your thoughts and comments in the section below and I'll jump right into the update. Earlier that day I asked him about the money and he agreed to quote, do whatever I wanted with it. He still seemed reluctant, but stating stipulations about groceries and other very basic things. I left that conversation feeling like although he had given me what I asked for, it wasn't coming from love or loyalty. Later, I picked a fight because I had, with the help of you guys, convinced myself that I should leave. So I sat him down and explained exactly how I felt. I was honest about wanting to leave because I was young enough just to start fresh again. He'd been feeling the same way. It was such a relief for us both to know that we have both been thinking the same. And it was okay. I could openly talk about that stuff that bothered me most, and he was totally calm and cool about it, and actually agreed with me. We both admitted we just weren't that into it. Now we agree to try counseling, and failing that we will split amicably. He has also realized that what we are doing with the money was unrealistic, and in the interim at least wants to make sure we have a community finance strategy, so that I'm not tight on cash, and I don't need to ask him for money. Most of all, I've learned to not be a coward and 100% honest. I've also tried to spare his feelings, and it was costing me a healthy relationship. Okay guys, so I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not see that update coming. I do hope the therapy works out for OP and her husband. Let me know your thoughts on this update in the comment section below, or if you've had any similar relationships you want to talk about, drop your thoughts and comments down. There's still one more final story in today's video. It's an Am I the A-hole story? And I'll just read the title for you. Am I the a-hole if I don't let my roommate's dad sleep in my bed? If you guys are enjoying the content so far, make sure you press subscribe as Mr. Reddito uploads daily videos. And let's hop into today's final story of the day. I'm 21 female and I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. My boyfriend who's 22 shares my bedroom and bathroom with me. My roommate 22, let's call her Mary, has her own bathroom and bedroom. We share a kitchen and a common living room. For context, Mary and I split the rent 50-50. Our names are both on the lease and it's university housing. We are both university students. She's a senior and is graduating in 3 weeks. I'm a junior, so I graduate next year. My boyfriend is a senior and is also graduating in 3 weeks at the same university. Yesterday, Mary texted me that her dad is flying out for graduation, and she's looking for hotels, but they're too expensive, so he needs to stay in my bedroom. I was very confused and taken aback by this request because it seemed completely strange and inappropriate. I told her and my boyfriend that we'll be here and we'll be using the room because we live here. She said that we need to leave so that she can have a room for her dad. I asked if she could use my air mattress in either her room or in our common living room that he could sleep on, and she said no. My boyfriend then told her that his friend has an extra twin bed in his room that he could use, and she said no because she needs to, quote, babysit him. She told me she has no choice but to ask me and my boyfriend to leave our apartment so her dad can have my room. When I said my boyfriend and I would just be staying in my room, she said I was being unreasonable because it's her only graduation. Guys, this isn't even true. She's going to medical school next year. It's also my boyfriend's graduation, so he obviously needed to stay as well. She just said that she's starting to look for a hotel 3 weeks before graduation because she's been too busy to do it earlier. Not only do I need my room, which I pay for, but I'm not comfortable with a man I've never met sleeping in my bed and staying in my room with my personal belongings without me being in there. So guys, Am I the a-hole if I don't let her use the room? Wow, guys, I think that was a weird story. I definitely say not the a-hole. I don't know why OP's roommate would even think that's a good idea. I want to read one specific comment that states, not the a-hole. This is gross, creepy, and completely over the line. Her lack of planning is not your emergency, and the idea of a stranger sleeping in your bed should rightfully disgust you. You need to put your foot down and make sure your landlord is aware of what Mary is asking, in case she lets her dad in just to take your bed when you're not home. And comment number 2 has a very interesting point, stating out, I can almost guarantee you this is not even allowed. I had friends live on dorm before, not sure if it's the same thing as university housing, and she got in so much trouble for someone spending the night. They initially came to her room to remind her that friends need to sign out before leaving, and they realized the friends spent the night and she got banned from having people over for however long it was. So, when we stopped by her place to grab something before leaving again, we had to sneak. I would definitely report this, OP. Okay guys, let me know how you would handle this situation in the comment section below. I hope everyone enjoyed the stories today. If you did, click the subscribe button because there's plenty more videos coming. I hope you guys have an amazing night. Take care and I'll see you tomorrow.